Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trevor, and I will be your stripper today. And today we are stripping down this 1972 Porsche 911. Porsche 911s are probably the most common car that we get here. I think this is the second 72 we've had this year. This one seems to be in pretty decent shape, but that's kind of hard to tell right now because there's like 4 different layers of paint on here. It was originally yellow. I see there's some red, and then they painted over that with black. So we'll see what's underneath all this paint. So you can see it's wet. I pressure washed it already, and I got something to show you guys. The reason I pressure washed it, there was a whole bunch of foil and stuff in the floor, and I just wanted to get all that crud out before we put it in the tank. But I sanded on it just to see what was under the paint. And right where I sanded, I started pressure washing, and all the paint just started lifting off. You can see on the roof too, and a little bit on this passenger side. But I thought the paint looked pretty decent, but apparently it's not. I'm gonna have a quick look at this thing with you before we get it in the tank. So you can see where there's yellow and red all through here. I don't really see a lot of rot coming through anywhere. I imagine there's gonna be a decent amount of filler on here, and you could see some of the undercoating was coming off when I was pressure washing. Floor has a lot of soundproofing, like all other Porsches. You can see so there's some of that foil left in there. Come around here. This is where all that paint got taken off. You can see there's maybe filler under there. That might be some of the yellow showing through. There's where I sanded down. You can see all the layers. I'm gonna bet you though, I took the paint off with the pressure washer, but I'm gonna guess the chemical is gonna have a hard time getting underneath this black because of the clear coat. So I'm probably gonna sand on it a little bit more. And you can see on this one, they cut that heater ducting out of the rockers. That will just become, it'll just get completely eaten by the chemical and foam up and a whole bunch of stuff and just make a mess in there. So that's a smart thing to do when you bring a Porsche that has that in it. But let's get this thing in the tank and I'll see you guys in a little bit. So I just finished the first pressure washing of the Porsche 911 and a lot more stuff came off than I thought was going to. As you could see, all the black paint came off basically. There's a few splotches that are still there, but this thing has some layers. Let's have a closer look at this real quick, and then we're gonna get it back in the tank and try to finish this thing up. But as you can see, a lot of this undercoating came off. It just comes off in big sheets, which is awesome. A lot of the seam sealer came off too. We do have a lot of soundproofing in the floor. I chipped away at that a little bit. Once you get underneath it once, the chemical just does the work. And look here, this is a little scary. These seats are completely covered in fiberglass, and yeah, there's a lot of rock coming through on there. I'm gonna pull this off. Let's see if I can get it in one big sheet. Oh, that's on there, man. Oh yeah, look at that. Big hole in the seat. And there's fiberglass all up here too. I'll get to that when we get to the back. See if I can pull some of this off. Might take another dip, or I'll take the 0 degree tip to it and see if I can get this all off. Oh yeah, look at that. This must all be rotted out underneath here. All right, we'll come to the back. See the quarters. Here's the other spot. You can see all this fiberglass and resin. And look at these two cutouts. If you look underneath here, oh, that's hard to see. Let me put my light on. If you look under here, there's these patches of metal, these right here. And I believe there was fiberglass all over these two parts. I'll have to look back on the video and be sure, but you can see all this rot that was under that fiberglass. That kind of sucks. Come over to the passenger quarters. But this thing's ready to go back in the tank, and hopefully the rest of this stuff comes off. I almost forgot to show this. This is pretty yucky. Look at this giant gouge in this roof with all this filler packed in. That is, how do you even do that? That is pretty yucky. I imagine it extends along here because this all seems to be thick filler too, but I'm curious to see how that looks once we get all this off. So we just got the car in the tank, and I'm gonna address one of the most asked questions I get in my comments, and that is, what would happen if I fell into this tank? Well, the tanks are heated to about 180 degrees, so I'd definitely get burnt. The chemical's not as aggressive as people think it is, but it does tingle when it hits your skin, and I'd probably come out hairless. But accidents happen all the time, inside and outside the workplace. The majority of people who are injured in accidents end up never filing a claim, or when they do file a claim, they're completely lowballed by insurance companies. But in reality, their case could have been worth millions of dollars. If you're ever hurt or in an accident, you could check out Morgan & Morgan. They're America's biggest injury law firm, and they're the biggest for a reason. They win a lot. One awesome thing about Morgan & Morgan is they modernize the law process. You can communicate with your legal team and file a claim all from your smartphone. And it only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case. And I'll just show you how easy it is. Open your browser, type www.forthepeople.com/MOD. Scroll down, put your first name, your last name, your phone number. I'm not going to give you my real phone number, your zip code, then your email address. And then we're going to choose our case type. We're going to choose slip and fall, and I fell in a hot chemical tank. Then hit submit and your claim is filed. It's that simple. It only takes a few moments of your time and there's no upfront charge. The only way they get paid is if you get paid. You can start a claim with America's largest law firm just by clicking the link in the description below. And if you click the link, you can see some of the past cases where Morgan & Morgan has won a substantial amount of money for their clients. There's one particular case in Jacksonville, Florida, where the pretrial offer was only $20,000 and Morgan & Morgan ended up getting them $120 million. That just goes to show how much insurance companies lowball you. But you can visit www.forthepeople.com/MOD to start your claim today. You can check out Morgan & Morgan. Well, we're definitely making progress on this 1972 Porsche 911. I'm pressure washing it for the second time. Pretty much almost done. I figure I'd give you guys a quick look at it. A lot of this soundproofing and stuff I'm probably gonna take out by hand. I already started scraping it out a little bit. I'll probably switch between that and the 0 degree tip to just cut it all out of there. There are a lot of places with fiberglass and resin on here, and I'm gonna remove a lot of that by hand and a lot of the seam sealer. I'll give you a closer look at that real quick. But as you can see, this is all rotted out underneath here. There's quite a bit of it. Actually, looks like there's 2 layers. Oh yeah. Well, that just got me wet. There we go. Wow. That's a little worse than I thought. Looks like that won't be holding fluid anymore. Some more over here I'll try to work out real quick. Some seam sealer, and like I'm gonna do most of this by hand, but it's not very entertaining. I'll probably take a putty knife or something and scrape a lot of this out because it's pretty tough. It's probably gonna take a few more, or like 1 or 2 more alkaline baths, a little bit of mechanical removal and chemical removal just to get all this out. You can see back here, there's some of this undercoating. The pressure washer doesn't have enough balls to really get it out, but I can scrape it out and the chemical does some work and just go back and forth until we get it all off. Some more fiberglass. You can see this is all rotted out up here. And there was this piece up here. This just flew off. I put it back just so you could see. But look at that. I don't even know why this is here or how this even happened. But it looks like, I don't know what that is. It doesn't feel like filler. It kind of feels like rubber underneath there. I'm gonna have to pry that out. But as you can see, I got my work ahead of me. I'm gonna start working on this a little more and I'll see you guys in a little bit when we get it back in the tank again. So I got all the glue or seam sealer or whatever was in this patch, and this patch wasn't even welded in. It's just floating in there. I wonder if I can get it out. I'm gonna try real quick. So I got it out. It was completely just glued in there, no welds or anything, and this metal is super thin. Look at all that rot and rust that was underneath there. But hey, we got a new shop boomerang now. So it ended up taking one more dip in the alkaline and pretty much everything came off in the tank. It wasn't a very good pressure washing video. So here's it going into the acid, and it's gonna spend about 2 to 3 days in there, and then we'll pull it out and pressure wash it. Here's the second acid dip. There was still a decent amount of rust on it, so it needed to go in again. It usually takes about 2 or 3 dips for the acid, and then we're gonna pull it out, neutralize it, and pressure wash it again, and it should be finished. This is us neutralizing the car after pulling it out of the acid bath. We're neutralizing it in our alkaline paint remover. It only spends about 10 minutes in there until it's completely neutralized, and then we pull it out, pressure wash everything off. Once it's all pressure washed, we dip it in a water-based rust inhibitor to prevent it from rusting for up to 30 days until you're ready to prime and paint. There was a meeting going on in the shop with people who were more important than me, so I wasn't able to do my typical walk around, but we're still going to go over the car. I did shoot the video, I just couldn't talk, so I have to do a voiceover. But up front here, you can see this metal cleaned up really nicely. We do have some rock coming through in the front in a few spots. You can see around the battery boxes, there is some brazing. Come around to the side. A lot of pitting and pinholes coming through. Let's move that rope out of the way. You can see we have some rock coming through. And then we're going to look at these rockers real quick. You can see that cleaned up nice inside there. The floor, honestly, is the most solid part of this car. Here's where all that fiberglass was. Those holes opened up a little bit, but not too bad. We use a weaker acid, so it doesn't have a lot of metal loss at all. Come around to the quarters. A few more pinholes coming there. And more fiberglass that was covering up all this rot. Come around to the back. Everything's pretty solid back here. Have a look at the passenger quarter. And a look at this nice patch that was done up here and all the rot that formed underneath. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry it wasn't my typical walk around. I couldn't do it, unfortunately. But I tried to give you more in this video of me like removing the seam sealer and all the ancillary stuff that I normally don't show. Let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you at the next car.